Viewers, the big focus that we have for you this afternoon is the latest that has happened between Israel and Iran. The Middle East crisis is getting bigger. Middle East is on the boil once again. Now, this morning, the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, conducted precision strikes on several military targets in the Islamic Republic of Iran. Now, this entire operation was named Operation Days of Repentance. The attack saw over 100 plus, in fact, Israeli planes firing 3 rounds of strikes, which targeted 20 locations across 3 provinces of Iran. Just look at these visuals on your screens. Israel says now these strikes were in response to months of continuous attacks by the Iranian regime. They were aimed at crippling Iran's manufacturing and aerial capabilities. It has also added that these strikes have now given Israel a quote-unquote broader aerial freedom of operation in Iran. Now, this clearly is going to evoke some kind of a response from Iran, is what most people feel at this point in time, because hours after the strikes, Iran confirmed that Israel did target several military bases in Tehran and other cities. But it also said that these strikes caused limited damage. Sharing the details of the attack, it mentioned that Israel struck parts of military centers in the provinces of Tehran and, 2 other provinces. In fact, Iran's semi-official Tasnim news agency also issued a statement saying that Iran is prepared to respond to any kind of Israeli aggression. It has also added that Israel is going to face a proportional reaction for any action that it takes. Meanwhile, the United States of America has also issued a statement urging Iran to stop attacking Israel in order to break this cycle of violence. In its statement, US National Security Council defended the Israeli airstrikes, saying that the attack was actually an exercise in self-defense and specifically avoided populated areas and focused solely on military targets. US has also said that it was notified by Israel ahead of these strikes, but was not involved in the operation in any way. And now we are getting a reaction from United Kingdom as well. UK's Prime Minister has said that Iran should not respond to Israeli strikes. He has added that Israel has the right to defend itself against Iranian aggression, but we need to avoid further regional escalation. And UK is also urging all the sides now to exercise caution and restraint. That's the big news that we are breaking for our viewers at this point in time. For more on this, let me straight away go across to my colleague Srinjoy Chaudhary, who is joining us live at this point in time. Srinjoy, good afternoon. We've got for our viewers glimpse of what happened between Israel and Iran in the last 24 hours. The response we have got from Iran and the United States of America. Of course, countries supporting Israel are now asking Iran to not respond. But given the kind of statement that we have seen from Iran as the first response, one, Iran tried to downplay the attack. And then it confirmed that, yes, there were attacks that took place. And then there is a message that there is going to be a response. When will it really stop is the big question.
First of all, what Israel says suggests that it has taken out at least some of Iran's air defense system, some of the radars, some of the surface-to-air missiles, and so on. Now, Israel, taking the American advice, has not targeted Iranian nuclear installations and not targeted any oil refineries or oil fields. If that had happened, the damage perhaps could well have been extensive. Now, what will Iran do? Of course, that is something Iran will decide. They have said that damage is limited. Now, what limited means is something we'll know later when these satellite pictures come through and all that. But there are really 2 or 3 options that are there. One, Iran itself could strike back with another ballistic missile strike, perhaps. The other is some of its friends, whether it's the Hezbollah, whether it's the Hamas, whether it's the Houthis, they could do something. So there are all these options are there, and things are not going to get much better. The Americans are also making it very clear that there should be restraint, as have the British.
Well, absolutely. Thank you very much, Srinjoy, for the moment, for joining us and putting things in perspective for our viewers. Let's also take the points that Srinjoy has made across to our guests who are joining us on the broadcast this afternoon. We have Ellie Carman, Senior Researcher, International Institute for Counter-Terrorism, joining us live from Israel at this point in time, and Major General Dhruv Katoch, retired Director, India Foundation, also joining us live this afternoon. Good afternoon to both of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now. Ellie Carman, I want to begin the discussion with you. What do you make of the response by Israel towards Iran? Do you think this will end this cycle of violence, as many have been calling it? Because this response was expected. When on 1st of October, we saw this ballistic missile attack from Iran to Israel, this is something that even I think Iran was in a way prepared for. What next, in your opinion?
Good afternoon. First of all, we must understand the international global context. Since the 1st of October attack, 25 days, Israel has coordinated and cooperated very closely with the Biden administration in the United States. We are 10 days, or less than 10 days before the elections, the very important elections in the United States. So clearly, the Biden administration was not interested in a major conflict, and it has pressured Israel to minimize its attack. First of all, not to attack the nuclear project sites, and also the network of energy and oil facilities in Iran, which are very, very sensible and which are influencing the economy of Iran itself. So we have even 3 batteries of American anti-missiles missiles in Israel now. The Americans have sent to Saudi Arabia a squadron of fighters, and this was a signal that the United States is prepared in case of a major response from the Iranians to react also. Now, Israel has, as I said, coordinated and decided to attack the military sites. We must understand that this is an attack, even if we had to attack the nuclear sites, for instance, this would be the first stage in order to neutralize the anti-aerial missiles, S-300 and S-400, Russian ones, which are in the hands of Iran, and also to destroy the ballistic missiles sites that are threatening Israel.
Right.
And also the third attack was on the facilities which build new long-range missiles. I think this was a success, and we see that the Iranians are minimizing this kind of, or the impact of this attack, probably because they are not decided how to respond. Before the attack, they even threatened that 3 hours after the attack, they will respond immediately. And there are not 9 hours, there is no response. Even Hezbollah, which was built and has the capability still to attack central Israel or strategic sites, did not react. So this is a moment when the Tehran regime has to decide what they want. Are they ready to react before the elections in the United States? They are also very much influenced by what will happen in the United States. So we not know exactly what happens, but in my opinion, there is probably will be a minimal response from all these proxies, especially the Houthis and Hezbollah.
So you're not really expecting a big response to the latest round of attacks from Israel towards Iran from the Iranian side or its proxies, like the Hezbollah, the Houthis, the Hamas, etc. Interesting point of view, Ellie Carman. Stay with us. Major General Dhruv Katoch, what is your reading of the situation that we are seeing currently, the kind of response we have got from Iran? What do you make of it?
Thank you, Hina. Hina, I've got a slightly different view to both the earlier panelists. The way I've looked at the situation developing, I think for the first time, there's an opportunity for a ceasefire which can take place in the region. And I'll give you my reasoning for it. Why? One is everybody knew that Israel is going to respond and it's going to be a firm response. The fear was really that on the type of targeting, you see, because if the targeting was on a nuclear site, it would have led, the consequences would have been far more serious.
Yes.
If the targeting was on the energy resources, on the petroleum sector, then that would have impacted the whole world. But now the targeting has been on specific missile sites, either their manufacture or where they are held, etc. And so to that extent, I think, it was a signal also from the part of Israel that, we can call it off. One. On the part of the Iranians, I think the signaling has been very clear. The message which they have sent is, they have said that, yes, there was an attack, but there was minimal damage. That, of course, is, we can contest what minimal means. But the point is that from the Iranian side, they have actually said, okay, Israel has attacked, but the damage has been minimal. In a sense, I think it gives that feeling that, okay, they may not retaliate, they may not go for a counter-offensive again. The way 200 missiles had been launched about a month earlier, I don't think anything like that is going to happen. The third is the response which has come from world powers. The Americans have made it very clear that they haven't supported this attack. That means they were not directly involved in the Israeli offensive, though they have given Israel all the equipment and assistance needed to defend themselves. For the attack per se, it is an Israeli response. So, in a sense, they have, they have disassociated themselves from this. The Arab world, the Saudis, of course, they have said, okay, we condemn the attack. But beyond that, they haven't gone. So I think now this gives out a real possibility of peace that, okay, Iran carried out an attack. Israel has responded. We can close it now.
Very
but
interesting
it depends on,
point of view.
Just one small point.
Yes.
It depends on one thing now where a peace can come in. If Hamas releases those hostages, I have a feeling that we can come on to some sort of a peace negotiation and at least this conflict will end. But very frankly, I think this is the first glimmer of hope. I do not look at escalation. I think it's going to be the reverse of that. There is an opportunity for peace.
Very interesting point of view there, Major General Dhruv Katoch. And let me take that point across to Eli Carmen as well. Do you agree? Do you see this as an opportunity for a possible ceasefire? Israel, of course, had made it very clear that, the war is not ending till the hostages are with Hamas. That statement was made when the declaration of the killing of Yahya Sinwar came out, few days ago. But even if we consider that Iran probably is not going to attack back towards Israel, who could really be the mediator in this particular case? Who could play that role, if at all you see an opportunity?
First of all, I don't expect any peace agreement or deal in the near future.
Okay.
First of all, because of Lebanon. We are still in the southern part of southern Lebanon, and the Israeli army has found a huge arsenal of weapons, not only, by the way, Iranian weapons and Syrian weapons, but also Russian weapons that were passed to Syria and from Syria to Hezbollah. So I think that as long as the Israeli army has not arrived at the Litani River, which is more northern, and has destroyed this arsenal, Hezbollah cannot be neutralized. We cannot accept now a situation in which Hezbollah has sufficient forces to attack Israel with missiles or to send troops to southern Israel. And for the moment, in my opinion, this war will go for even not weeks, but even months. We saw it in Gaza, by the way. Gaza, it's another problem. The Gaza problem is the issue of the hostages. And Israel can achieve an agreement and decide to stop the fire and to have the hostages liberated. The question is who on the Hamas side can do it, because with the Sinwar elimination, there is no leader on the ground. Who is now leading the negotiations from Qatar is Khalil al-Hayy, which was the deputy of Sinwar.
Right.
But how is he influencing the issue on the ground in Gaza? We don't know. In my opinion, the Qatari government is a nuisance in these negotiations. We need to speak and to cooperate with the Egyptians, which also have the possibility to press Gaza and to press Hamas in Gaza.
Right.
So we'll see what the Tehran regime will decide in the next days. But we'll have to see what happens in the American elections and in what directions goes the nuclear project of Iran. Because they could now accelerate it after the war.
Okay, interesting. And closing comment before I wind up this discussion, Major General Dhruv Katoch, you still see, given the current circumstances, an opportunity for peace, an opportunity for ceasefire. But who's going to bring both sides on the table?
Very frankly, I think, I agree with Mr. Kaman, he's got a very strong case there. But what I want to say fundamentally, it has to start with the release of the hostages, because without that, nothing will work. Now, if there's nobody in Gaza who can do it to give the hostages back, then I'm afraid it will carry on. My bigger fear is because if it carries on and it gets onto the nuclear facilities, it will go on to the oil. Ultimately,
yes.
I'm not so much concerned if the nuclear facilities are taken out, but I am really concerned if the oil war breaks out, that the energy war is going to destroy us all.
Absolutely.
It's going to impact it. And so I hope it doesn't reach that way. But I personally see there is a glimmer of hope. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but the possibility is there. And I don't think we should discard that possibility. That possibility of peace exists.
Okay.
With the US, Russia, India, and China, can all of us get onto it and, look for the ceasefire? I'm not saying an agreement, at least for a ceasefire as a first step. Agreement may take years.
Okay.
I agree to that,
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us here on this very, very interesting discussion on what next as far as this conflict between Iran and Israel is concerned. We'll see how Iran is now going to respond, whether there is going to be some kind of a talk around the ceasefire, in this situation, whether the hostages will be released or something of that sort happens. That's going to be our key focus ahead. But for now, thank you very much for joining us here on Times Now and sharing with us your perspective.